What's up, guys? I don't know. I'm going to try doing this. It's something new. I'm about to take the kids to school. I've been reading this book. And yesterday I went on a walk. And I'm not going to lie. I would just say, read this book. And I'm warning you, it was rough. I couldn't make it past, where am I? I couldn't make it. I couldn't finish the first chapter of this book. It's called Friends. It's by Robin Dunbar. And, oh man, I had to stop listening to it. So he's done all this research. Robin Dunbar, he's like this professor or somebody, he's this researcher. He's done all this research on friends and our need for friends and how lonely we are as people. And he talks about life expectancy in the first bit of it. And it's not good. And then he goes into, and this is just halfway through the first chapter, guys. He goes through life expectancy, and then he goes through weak friends, weak ties, weak friendships, and strong friendships. And I'm just sitting there going, oh my gosh. And of course, you're listening to it and you're thinking about yourself. And I know some people, or maybe my insecurities are going, oh, come on, man. Don't be weak. Don't be whatever. But at this point, I'm looking at this and going, oh, crap. This book crushed me. I'm going to finish it. It crushed me. It crushed me. When you realize that you have no friends, or you realize that the friendships that you think are friendships are just weak friendships, you realize how lonely of a generation we are and how bad this is. I've only lived in, since graduating college, I've only lived in bigger cities. I lived in Dallas, and then now I live in Austin. If your friendship is built off hobbies or whatever that stuff is, that's called a weak friendship because it's just based off of, it's simply based off of an interest. You don't depend on those people. Essentially what he's saying, the strong one, if you needed a liver, or if you were if you had a family member die, or if you need some money and you're doing really, really bad, who are you calling that isn't your family? Who are you calling? I know some of you are going to go, dude, I got those people. When's the last time you talked to them? I've noticed in big cities, a lot of people's friends are just people they work with. They're not actually your friends. And church friends are good. And if you have strong ties with people from church, that's freaking awesome. I've been going to church now. My wife and I moved to Austin with our family. We've been to 4 churches. We couldn't make a friend to save our life. We tried really hard. Now, I will be the first person to end a relationship if I feel like I'm pulling the weight. And I don't just go off and do it willy-nilly, or if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, being a life coach, that people are using me to get clarity in their life, not because of any kind of friendship, not because they enjoy being with me. They enjoy me because they get free life coaching. That happens a lot with me. And I look back and I go, gosh, dang. Maybe there's too much information. This is not good for us. Guys, we need friends. And I'm not putting this out in the world for people to feel bad. I know how to make a friend. At least I used to. So I'm trying to diagnose the problem. Like, what's the issue? What's going on? Just in my own life. Just going, what's going on in my life? Am I too busy? No. I reach out to people. They're busy. Everyone thinks they're busy. Here's the interesting thing that I just find fascinating. I've got friends that are wealthy. I'm not talking about millionaires. I'm talking about they've got millions in the bank. Not like I've made $1 million or I have $1 million business. I'm talking about they exited their business for a lot of money. They're doing okay. And the people with tons of money in their account, the millionaires, the true millionaires, if the world stopped, they're going to be okay for a good amount of time. They're actually busy. They actually have a lot going on. When you have a lot of money, money becomes a new part-time job. Managing it, keeping up with people that are managing it, all that kind of stuff. On top of all the things that you're doing to keep it going. Let me tell you, people reach out to these people all the time. For handouts, for networking, for whatever. I've found that the people who have a good amount of money are always busy. The people that are rich, always have time for me. They always have time for me. They make time. And it isn't like, it's weird. It's so weird. The guy with a job who's got enough, good money, he's got kids, he's got all this stuff. It's impossible to get time with them. They're always busy. The people that are like, they've made it, they're more busy than them, but they've got time for relationships. And it makes me think. I wonder if they're really, part of why they're really wealthy is because they prioritize relationships because they know it's who you know, not what you know. My family's moving from Austin because I do think we're moving from Austin because we feel like God's calling us to another big city. But there's something about this city that's just... I was talking to a friend about it, and maybe your city's like this. If you live in a hip city, because I went to Denver and I was talking with my Uber driver, and he said the same thing. Young guy, cool dude, maybe in his early 30s. And we were talking, and when he described Denver, I was like, that's Austin. Let me describe this to you. And maybe your city's like this. In Austin, people come to take. People come to take. They want to go to the concerts. They want to go to the cool bars. They want to go and see the weird parts of the city. They want to go to the trails. They want to go in the natural spring water. They want to go in these places. They want to be seen in these places. They want to take photos. They're taking. What can I get out of it? It's an entrepreneurial city. And the entrepreneurs who haven't made it yet that live in this city, they love taking. And they love having meetings about nothing that go nowhere. They don't want to build relationships. And then after a few years, they move back and they start building their families. Or if they have families, They usually move outside of Austin to like Dripping Springs, Georgetown, some of these other places, because they realize that like you got to build these relationships. They got to get out of the city, and they can't afford to live here, so they go find a nice place where they get some land. But guess what? They don't know how to build relationships. But they will in these smaller towns because people aren't in a rush. They're not busy. The reason we don't have friends, guys, and some of you are like, I got friends. No, unless you live in like, the people that I know that have friends are like in towns I grew up in that were small. They still have friends. There's like a huge issue. Am I the only? I'm 37, about to be 38. I'm a fun guy. People like me. I know that sounds weird, but it's like people love being around me. Because I bring joy, I bring life. But I'm at this point where I'm looking at everything and I'm like, who cares how much money you make at the end of the day if you have no one to share experiences with? I was watching this documentary, or just like a YouTube video, I think. I think it was a movie. Judd Apatow made it. It was about Don Rickles. And Don Rickles, one thing that they don't, he's a comedian. One of the things people don't realize is that he had this other comedian, and they were like best friends, and their wives were friends, and their kids were friends with one another. And at the end of his life, yeah, people are going to remember the jokes he told and some of the stuff, but eventually they're going to forget about him. But what do they remember? Like, Judd Apatow was like, wow, look at this friendship that's lasted all this time. I'm not sharing this for pity. I'm sharing this to wake you people up. I'm going to end up making friends. And these are going to be people that I'm going to invest in. And it's not going to be based on some weird, because we like soccer, because we're fans of a football team. It's not going to be because of that. We're going to be friends because we're friends. And I don't know where that is in Atlanta. I don't know. But that's what I'm trying to find out. I help a lot. I've been coaching a lot, and a lot of the people I coach are entrepreneurs. And they're all trying to make money. All of them. They're all trying to make more money, and they should. Money's awesome. But let me say this. If all of your relationships are just business relationships, you're missing out. We're missing out. I've got people I can connect with over business that if I called right now, we could connect. And let me just say, a lot of you service people in the service, entrepreneurial service space, be careful. A lot of your friends, how many of them call you up randomly every year to use you for their service, for your service? You gotta ask the question, if I didn't do what I do, would they be reaching out to me? Would they be connecting with me? People my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, time is running out. Time is running out. And part of the reason I don't have friends is because I move a lot. I get that. Again, I'm not doing this for pity. I'm doing this to wake you up because I read this book called Friends by Robin Dunbar. And I got half a chapter in, and I'm walking on this trail, and guys, I was like, oh no. And I already felt like there was a friendship deficit in America. But it became really real. I don't know if this is going to help. I'm going to keep shooting just personal videos. But this is why I think we don't have friends. We prioritize feeling busy because it makes us think that we're being productive or that we're accomplishing something. We're just busy for busy's sake. And this isn't some kind of like, I'm not calling out anybody. If you're somebody that I connect with and you're going, oh, he's talking about me, Get over yourself. If you don't live in my city and you're not close to me, don't DM like, hey, let's be friends. I don't want that. I don't want, and you shouldn't want, more online friends. That's not friendship. Friendship is this. It's this. It's together. It's oneness. It's becoming. It's being with. It's sitting at a fire pit, drinking a beer, talking about nothing. This used to be a thing. It's dinners. It's hanging out. And I'm at a point now in my life where I'm going, all right, we're in this weird position. We're moving at the end of the year. We're moving at the end of the school year. We're moving at the end of the school year. So a lot of the relationships that could be built here in Austin, it's just like, what's the point? It's not being mean or rude. It's just kind of like, what's the point? But I'm going to Atlanta with a freaking vengeance. We're going to build relationships. It's going to take time, but we're going to build something with people that isn't built on what they can get for us or what we can get for them. It's about just being with people. Some of you are going to be like, oh, that's the church. It's like, have you been to one lately? Have you been to a church lately? Where you sat down, you go in, you shake hands in the lobby, you might see someone you know, you ask them questions that you don't care about. How are you doing? How are the kids? Oh man, how's work? Awesome. Well, sounds like worship starting. Let's go inside. Then you go inside, and depending on the church, worship goes from anywhere from like 15 to an hour of worship, right? No connection with anybody except you and the Lord. That's great. Then you sit and listen to some guy talk for 45 minutes to an hour. Again, no connection with anyone. Then you walk out. You might see another person on the way out, and in your mind, as a dude, you're like, I can't wait to get home. I can't. There's other stuff you want to do. Turn on the TV, grab a beer or a couple shots of whiskey to just relax. You're alone there too. Is this making sense? Is this clicking? Church isn't about relationships anymore, guys. That died. Whenever churches turned into these and I'm not saying every church, but churches just started turning into these corporate structures of church growth and advancement, and they use all this slang. I went to, gosh, they're just like this. That's a different subject. But then you're like, oh yeah, but in churches we have community groups. Community groups will last less than 2 years and they shut down. And you never talk with those people again. Now I get it. There's some churches. I've got a friend here in Austin. He goes to a church. They're not like that. They've got real relationships. It's really awesome. Now let me add, he's on leadership. So they do extra stuff to build relationships amongst leaders, which is awesome. I don't know anyone that just goes to his church that isn't on leadership. And he's like a naturally cool guy. Is this making sense? There's a massive issue going on. This is going to affect all of your life. It's going to affect your money. It's going to affect relationships. It's going to affect marriages. This is going to affect your kids. Guys, wake up.